demonstration, and it's been a pleasure having you here. And let me just give you a brief background about myself, and eventually we'll get started with this demonstration, friends. And during this demonstration session, at any given point of a time, if you have any questions or clarifications, you can do type in the chat window, and eventually once you type in the chat window, I can answer you in appropriate manner. And at the end, I'll give you the mics to talk about. If you have any other questions or concerns, you can directly highlight that in terms of be it on the course content, whatever it can be. So all right. So feel free to raise your concerns if you have any during this program, during this demonstration. If you have any questions or concerns about it, please do type. Right. Thank you for your time, guys, and let's get started with this. Alright guys, as part of this agenda, I have limited content. This content briefly precisely talks about what SAP BODS platform is all about, and what are the different product components that comprises of SAP BODS architecture, and its integration with SAP, how it has been integrated with SAP products. Right, so this is the agenda that I have set forth for this demonstration, friends. Alright, so before we get going, it is imperative that you it would be good, it would be nice if you know whom you are speaking to, and it also establishes an idea about what sort of a thing that you're going to get, because that's what knowing your trainer's profile. Alright friends, to give you a brief introduction about myself, I'm Srikanth Adagiri, and I come with a 14 years of ID experience thus far. With about well over a decade of my experience goes into data warehousing systems implementation, typically into implementing data warehousing and BI systems, including project consulting, architecting, management experiences. Along with, I've also managed practices such as BI practices. I had a BI practice for quite some time, and eventually this BI practice, wherein I used to manage a bunch of people to manage different business products. And as part of my entire BI career, I have got an opportunity to work with Fortune 100 global clients, to name a few: HP, Cisco systems, along with it's a customers of HP systems, into investment banking sector like Credit Suisse, or different other banking systems such as DBS banks in Singapore, etc. Right, so I've spent well over my better part of my life in the international market, traveling across the globe. I was living in Singapore for the entire last decade, wherein that has given me an opportunity to work with diverse business domains, with variety of technological tools and frameworks in the BI spectrum. And some of the most frequently used systems and BI tools that I've implemented are basically comes from the business object suite of products, especially BI systems. BI systems talking about implementing business object from 5.1 all time since 2002 until the recent XI 4.0 as well as my implementation. As well as I've also implemented applications using BODS when it was being first called Business Object Data Integrator way back in 2004. And my recent implementation is with the BODS 4.0 last year. I also work with a variety of other ETL tools such as Informatica, SSIS, etc. Along with, I've also done some implementations I made and using Microsoft analytical services like OLAP engines, basically. Right, guys, and so basically, I carry a lot of business implementation experience, pretty much into BI segment, guys. Right, that sums up a brief summary about it, so that you should be able to understand what kind of things that you could expect in the event. If you have any clarification, you can as well post after me as part of this program, guys. Alright, friends. Alright, so what is Business Object Data Services? What data services is all about? Alright, to simply put it forward, data services is a graphical user interface application. Simply, data services in an ETL platform, it is basically designed to integrate enterprise data by reading heterogeneous data sources. It can read the data virtually from anywhere. To talk about using data services platform, we can connect to varieties of systems and applications. If your organization is running applications spanning across different technological areas, be it SAP ERP systems, be it customly developed business application systems, or be it HRMS systems like PeopleSoft, or any other manufacturing related applications specifically designed for it. So basically, as part of your data integration process or building enterprise scale data warehouse systems, data integration is a vital component. It is essentially imperative that you connect to all of these enterprise systems, read the data, collate this information, correspondingly write this information into a single target, which is typically called enterprise data warehouse systems. So BODS is a capable tool or enterprise-based ETL platform which will connect to virtually any kind of system, read this corporate data, consolidate it, and eventually it can write into a single data sources, single data targets. These data targets be it database management systems, flat files. This can also be applications residing in SAP BW systems. You can also as well write SAP BW data using a BODS platform. Right, so it also comes with enterprise-wide data integration and data quality functions. Data quality functions. What is the data quality? Data quality will define a set of rules which will be using which you filter out the data, such as when the business systems are deployed across the globe, it is possible that these business systems may have some pitfalls which can generate data which is inconsistently provided, meaning that this information can be such as a user who has provided an incorrect billing address, and a user who has provided his incorrect credentials. In order for you to cleanse this information and validate this information, to make sure only the quality data is being brought into the enterprise scale system, we perform data quality integrations, guys. Data quality is a process. Data quality as well defines a set of rules. These data quality rules pretty much comprising but not limited to filtering the addresses of the customer, genders of the customer, using the postal codes defined by the customer, as well as it can also be defining by using social security numbers or or any other NRIC numbers that have been provided by the customer to verify whether this customer is a valid customer or the credential that is provided are even validated. Along with using data services, data quality platform, you could as well match this information with your enterprise scale data repository to make sure this credentials have been validated and this user is indeed a correct user who is important to the system. Along with this, using these functionalities, you can create a single infrastructure for data movement, for enabling faster and lower cost implementation, guys. So what happens here is that as part of your data integration, when you're in a larger enterprise scale systems, you have to read data from many other different sources systems. The BODS system can enable you to virtually connect all of these systems as sources, and these systems can be integrated using a singular platform You can use this singular platform to join these entities together, eliminate redundant data, filter out essential information that is required for your corporation, or for your organization, etc. guys. You can perform all of these operations using a singular platform. An example to illustrate the capabilities of BODS platform is it can virtually connect to any system, like I mentioned. To name a few, it has interfaces established to connect to SAP ERP systems, SAP BW systems, SAP CRM systems. It can also connect to Siebel CRMs, AS400 systems, mainframes, Salesforce CRM, Oracle applications, PeopleSoft HRMS systems, along with natively supported a bunch of database management software such as SQL Server, Oracle, DB2, Informix, Sybase, SAP HANA, etc. guys. It can connect to any kind of a platform. Along with, you can also read data that may be coming in the form of unstructured data, guys. This unstructured data predominantly talking about reading this data from internets, such as reading the data from Facebook applications, reading the data from Twitter to find out the sentiment analysis, etc. All of these data, it can virtually connect to any kind of sources. You can also connect to web services to extract the data on a periodical basis. Alright, so in order for you to work with this variety of application systems, you might require to have a bunch of tools which can specialize to read all of these applications. However, with BODS platform, you can perform all of these integrities using a singular interface, guys. It provides you an interface to read this variety of systems data using singular BODS platform, guys. And all of these information can be collated and integrated into a single application. So basically, you can join all of these applications together to perform this authorization, guys, basically. Right. Alright, friends. So what happens here is that, so once you integrate this data using this variety of forms and mediums, you can define the corporate data as an asset for an organization. And typically, data is vital. Data defines how your business is performing. Data is a source to understand how the business has been performing, guys. Give me a second, guys. Guys, can you see my screen, right? Alright. Alright, guys. So basically, data specifies these functionalities. These days, everything that you do with to make a business decision, you require data. The data is a vital component using which businesses can perform better today. Alright, guys. Corporate data is an independent of any systems, guys. A corporate data should comprise all the data set, all the data that has been generated across the organization, irrespective of the medium of data which has been acquired, guys. And it also enables you to integrate the data across many systems and reuse the data for many purposes. So once you integrate all of this data into a singular platform, you could use this to build an enterprise scale data warehousing systems, or you could use this data to start building a business analytical applications, etc. guys. Yes, hello. Not sure, guys. And friends, can you see my screen, right? I think they did. Everyone, I think they have been able to visualize it in real-time fashion. Yeah. Alright, guys. I was talking about this, and usually it can also enable you to improve the performance of your business applications and reduce the burden of an enterprise systems wherein information has been consolidated and preserved into a singular manner. Right, this is the first screen, yeah. I'm on the, this is the first, what do you call that, business object data services is the screen title it's going to be. And it's a bit of a theory, and eventually we'll go into the, graphical representation of the components or architecture. Great. Alright friends. Sorry guys. Along with it also comes some pre-packaged solutions for fast deployment and quick ROI. These pre-packaged solutions called rapid marts. These rapid marts are specifically designed to integrate the data from your SAP or any other ERP systems. So basically, there are solutions that are pretty finely available with rapid marts. So meaning that you can, essentially integrated or required BODS ETL jobs to read a bunch of tables from your source ERP systems that can be read and eventually written into a target system, guys. Along with that is a prepackaged solution. So these are called rapid marts. Okay, so these typically require, these are the pre-developed application platforms, guys. You can simply get them from SAP systems and get it integrated into your existing infrastructure. Along with it also, enhances the customer and operational data by appending additional information to increase the value of the data, meaning that you can use this to predominantly load the data from your source systems and append it to existing data warehouse systems, and as well as you can match and consolidate data to perform data quality integration, guys, basically. All right, noted, Nishita, no problem. Right, so it also enables you to match and consolidate the data which you read from your source systems and comparing with your enterprise central repositories, if any data repository that exists. Dear friends, any questions on this slide before I move on to my next slide? Okay friends, and assuming that you guys are good with it, let me move on to my next slide. Typically, the purpose of data warehousing, a BODS platform is to integrate the data from different source systems. It comprises a bunch of applications inside. If a customer has a BODS platform with a premium licensing model deployed, it will have capabilities to perform ETL integration, data quality integration, data profiling capabilities. Data profiling capabilities talks about analyzing your source data to find out how the data has been organized into a source system, such as how many unique records exist and how many repetitive records exist, what is the minimum value, what is the maximum value, how does this data pattern going in, etc. guys. So these are the imperatively important information for us to as part of your data integration process. It is very important for you to analyze this information together, and eventually you will get an understanding of to how you need to model your ETL job with packages, basically. Right, so all of these things that can be performed using data profiling. It also enables you to perform text analysis, guys. This text analysis talks about profiling or building BI systems based on unstructured data. Unstructured data is in the form of social networking websites such as Twitter, Facebook, etc. guys. You can also connect to these systems and start profiling this information to get a better means of information, guys. And it also ships with an UI interfaces based on web. One is called Information Steward. Information Steward is a component which is used to deploy or integrate business metadata across different business application platforms. Using Information Steward, you can exchange metadata between BODS platform and business objects enterprise, or any other enterprise application platform can be, you can use this to integrate the platform. It also has a technical UI interface which typically talks about the BODS designer using designer is a singular interface using which you can integrate all of your data by connecting to different data sources, creating applications called jobs, and using these jobs you can integrate the data, consolidate the information, and correspondingly cleanses and write this information into the target system. So all of these things can be performed using a technical user interface called designer. Designer is a component which is widely used as part of your business object data services platform. Well, friends, and in a nutshell, a BODS platform is an enterprise scale ETL integration platform which can connect to a variety of business applications to read the data which may be lying in different formats and consolidate this information and eventually define aggregations if any required, correspondingly write this information into the target system. Is this clear, friends? Any questions here, guys? Alright, friends. Okay, guys, and I'm stepping into my next slide, which tells me a bunch of information about what are the different components that includes a BODS and their purposes, etc. guys. Some of these standard components that includes are, these are the bunch of standard components that are part of the SAP BODS enterprise scale platform. It has a designer, repository, job server, engines, access server, adapters, real-time services, address servers, global parsing options, etc., and management console backs. So these are the pretty often used terminology within the BODS platform, basically. Let me explain you the purpose of these in a brief detail, and eventually you will understand them going forward, guys. Alright. The designer is a component which is widely used as part of your BODS data integration. Using designer, we can connect to, we can create connections called data stores. Using these data stores, you will be able to connect to variety of data sources, like I mentioned, such as ERP sources, database management systems, file systems, etc. Right. So using designer, you connect these systems, import its metadata, as well as you create applications called jobs. Okay. So there are two types of jobs exist in BODS. One is the batch jobs, another one is the real-time jobs. We usually focus on most of the time, most of the data integration systems requires batch jobs to be performed. Right. So these batch jobs are typically been scheduled to run on a periodical basis. You can schedule this batch job to run on a periodical basis, like once in a day, once in every hour, once in a week, etc. Likewise, you have real-time jobs. Real-time jobs are once started, they keep running, guys. So real-time jobs are not scheduled jobs. Real-time jobs all the time are being connected to the source system, and whenever the new record exists, it's going to fill up, pick up that information from the source system and return it to the target. Alright, friends, and all of these jobs can be created using designer. Is a batch job scheduler is a built-in scheduler. BODS has a built-in batch job scheduler. However, it can also integrate with the third-party schedulers. For example, you have any IBM Tivoli manager. Example, it can also integrate these batch jobs with the Tivoli manager to run these applications. Right. So, likewise, this designer will enable you to work with a bunch of transformations that you have, such as these transformations may include but not limited to data quality transformations, data integration transformations, and designer based transformations, guys. So using these transformations, you connect these source systems together and eventually consolidate this information by eliminating or writing your own custom functions or using these transformations to filter out the data or create the aggregations and correspondingly write that information into the target system. So designer is, as being a consultant or a developer, you work a lot with designer guys. And designer is a single interface in BODS platform which will enable you to design applications guys. Jobs can all the time being created using designer guys. Designer is a widely used application as part of your BODS platform. Clear friends? Right, so designer also facilitates other information such as it also embeds with a script writer or an interface to write your own custom scripts, and you can use these scripts as part of your data integration processes or projects, etc. guys. Right, and eventually we have BODS can be used in any other environment. It's not only specific to SAP environment, but it can connect to any other systems. But honestly, the reason why BODS has become picked up so much of late is because its integrity with SAP based systems. And to tell you, no other systems, no other ETL component today can integrate better than BODS in terms of connecting to SAP. It has a native SAP integration, maybe SAP ERP integration, a BW integration. So, but however, it is just not limited to this, but it can connect to any other database management software, any system. BW has its own ETL tool, but the BW and eventually, the ideology behind this is basically going forward. You can hear SAP BODS, HANA, and Business Object as one ETL, one BI spectrum going forward. That's the landscape set forth. And the difference is that it can also, BW has its own ETL integration, but however, difference is that it has interfaces to connect to even other application sources such as, PeopleSoft ERPs and Siebel CRMs. Salesforce.com CRMs, etc. So it has a quite variety of, it has a larger scope in terms of connectivity, and it can perform much better than SAP BW ETL integration. And honestly, although the SAP has not officially declared yet, but eventually you're going to see this BW system getting obsoleted. If not today, but definitely in the down the line, coming for a couple of years going on the road, guys. Right? Is it clear, Sridhar? Alright, so it can connect to any kind of systems, friends. Like you mentioned, it can connect to ERP systems, CRMs, or even web services. Even web services data can also be received, consumed by BODS platform. Along with it, also its capability to work with unstructured data, such as social networking data, to find out its sentiment analysis, etc. All of these things can be facilitated using designer. So using designer, you can establish connectivity to these bunch of applications, and establish these applications can then be integrated or facilitated using designer. And it has one vital component called this repository. And this repository is of, there are three types of repositories exist, primarily three types of repositories exist in BODS platform. One talks about the local repository. A local repository is a component and which is typically being created inside a database management system. Or in other words, a repository is nothing but a component which stores metadata of your business application content that you develop in BODS. Such as, in order for you to start working with any project in BODS or developing a job, at first you must be connected to a repository. A repository, like I mentioned, of a couple of types, three types, and widely used repositories are local repositories. If you are a developer working in a project, or in a project contains 5 developers per se, And each of these developers will have their own repository, guys. Repository is a means of storing your business development content, business application content, guys. It stores metadata about your application sources, stores metadata about your application targets, as well as jobs that you created, transformations that you have used it, scheduling parameters that you have implemented, etc. guys. All of these things are pretty much is being stored into a local repository. The general tendency is that each of the developer will have their own local repository. Okay. In other words, you can also call this repository as a means of storing your working folder, guys. Typically, it's like a storing your content into a working folder. Alright friends, that is a local repository. Likewise, you also have a central repository. A central repository enables you to share the developed content across developers, such as, like I mentioned, a project contains 5 developers per se, and if you would like to share this content, let's say I have developed some components and which I would like to share this components with other users, other developers, to further enhance it or integrate into their application. So I use a central repository. Central repository is a means of facilitating multi-user development, guys. Central repository, it also acts as a version controlling software, guys. Using central repository, you can check in the code, check out the code, maintain and manage version controlling with Bods, guys. Right, so that's how the central repository. And lastly, you have a profiler repository. Profiler repository is used to perform data profiling jobs. Like I mentioned, data profiling talks about working with your source tables to filter out how the data is being organized into your source system. If your source system contains information which is what sort of information which is being contains, and how the data is organized. Let's say you have a first name and last name. This first name may contain any special characters, and how many characters of this data is going to be, what is the maximum size of the first name, what is the minimum size of first name, etc. So you can use all of this information while connecting to different source systems to integrate and analyze your source data informations, and eventually come to a design decision come to a design decisions as to how you need to organize these jobs, guys. Data profiling is an essential component of your data integration projects and processes. If you do not have adequate data quality information, data profiling information, you may end up creating applications or jobs which doesn't fit in data quality requirements, guys. So data profiling is a vital and tightly integrated component with your any data integration projects or processes. Right? Of these 3 types of repositories, the first referred local repository is a mandatory repository, guys. Right? In order for you to start working with BODS application, you must have a local repository. And rest of the 2 repositories, such as central repository and profiler repository, they are optional components. It is fine even if you do not have these 2 components in there. Right? Clear, friends? And all of these repository systems are typically run as stores this information inside an RDBMS, a relational database management system, guys. You may decide to have defined database systems for each of these repositories, or you can also, or alternatively, can have a schema defined to store this repository. Right? Is this clear, friends? Repositories? Alright, guys. The next step talks about the job servers. Job server is a component which is all the time is attached to a repository, which is a local repository. A job server performs data moment, guys, or basically when the moment you run a job server will takes takes the input from this job, and which it will start to create data moment from by connecting to the source system and performing the data transformation and loading into the target system, guys. Typically, a job server can be attached to a local repository, and this job server internally creates engines. These engines called job server engines. These engines are nothing but threads. Typically, these engines are nothing but threads. So basically, it creates job threads, and these created job threads are then being used to connect to the source system and perform this data integration process and return it to the target system. And job server will dynamically determine how many process engines or how many engines that it requires to initiate to complete this data transformation process. Right? It is dynamically decided by job server as to how many threads it requires to create it, guys. And job server and engines work in conjunction with each other, guys. And engines is a subset of job servers. So in other words, job server is a higher component, and job server can create several engines at runtime times. Right? So these you can typically attach one job server or a group of job servers by defining a job server group to be attached to your local repository, guys. At any given point of time, in order for you to execute your jobs which are part of a local repository, this local repository must be integrated with a job server, which is a mandatory. Right? Likewise, you also have access servers. Access servers are components which are used with only for real-time applications, guys. Alright, so in the event when you're running, if you have created a real-time job and running this real-time job, this real-time job works in conjunction with the combination of a job server and access server to facilitate data transformation moment, guys. Access server is a real-time messaging broker, meaning that all the time it polls your source system to whether the new data exists, is there any new data has been brought into the platform. If yes, then immediately it picks up that new data and correspondingly process that information into the target system, guys. Typically, we use access server or real-time application systems to facilitate